Charles Collins' career shift to speaking allowed her to pursue her passion for public speaking. "I had the comfort of my job, so I played footsie," she says. As a side hustle, attorney Charles Collins had 4 speaking engagements under her belt at rates ranging from $5,000 to $7,500. While lucrative, her day job created a time crunch that prohibited her from going further. "I had 1 foot in and 1 foot out. Because of the security of my job, I'd go all out with pursuing my dreams at times, and then other times I'd retreat to the comfort and safety of my paycheck," Kelly shared in an interview. Luckily for you, Manna member, we've listed all the tips Kelly Charles Collins shared on how she went from broke to $50,000 per appearance. Remember that while the first step is completing any of these amazing videos, the second and possibly more important step is taking action, even if it's imperfect action. Kelly Charles Collins was a retired employment law attorney, an international TEDx speaker, and founder of the Ladies Who Leverage movement. She is the CEO and founder of HR Legally Speaking, LLC. At the end of 2019, the comfort and safety disappeared when the prestigious law firm Charles Collins was employed at could no longer afford to have its employees work for them. The termination had set her on a path to become a sought-after speaker on unconscious bias prevention and bystander involvement, a subject with which she has an award-winning TEDx talk. She now commands $50,000 USD per speaking engagement and helps other women building businesses that are themselves. It wasn't easy, but here are her tips for all entrepreneurs who want to land dream clients and charge rates, as she herself has done. Number 1. To prepare for unexpected circumstances, prioritize your savings. The sudden termination forced her to shift her timeline, even though Charles Collins had a target date to eventually pursue her side hustle full-time. "I was working toward a goal of leaving my day job soon," she says. This entrepreneur had been creating speaking opportunities on the side while securing work as a lawyer. "At the time of being let go, I hadn't done what I was supposed to do as far as saving money. I had an emergency fund in the low 5 figures range, which would have paid bills for 3 months. What I would have to had was 6 to 9 months of expenses saved. It was scary because I was now doing what I wanted to do, but the business needed to support me." The first few months were rough as she transitioned from steady paychecks to the uncertainty of securing clients and revenue. She made some inquiries and gave presentations for associations, organizations, and executives to gain visibility, found success in participating on social media platforms as a means of reaching prospective clients, and in the process, built her website. She also used this downtime to market herself more actively on social media, so she would be easy to find when prospective clients wanted to learn more about her work. Number 2. Make it easy for them to refer you. Then, in 2020, a race-related incident stoked the fires for Charles Collins. "When I heard about the George Floyd case, I put out a post on social media. I told those who wanted to learn how to become allies that I would do a Zoom call and they could come and ask questions. I felt that it is important to create a safe space for people to have conversations and ask questions." As a speaker on the bystander effect, which refers to the psychological impact that people have when surrounded by friends and strangers who don't act, the mother of a son who was hit by police brutality in her TEDx interview, she says, "The entrepreneur aimed to be helpful and also direct. I was there to make sure that the people who attended got my perspective and had a place to get their questions answered and were able to understand my capacity." After her outdoor talk at the conference, Charles Collins began taking on speaking engagements with her own business. She did so as a result of word of mouth from the conference attendees and through attendance review from Google's search engine. Her newfound living from speaking led to more opportunities that draw in representatives from other organizations that were looking to hire her to do similar listening sessions and Q&As for their teams. She presented in social media groups, corporate teams, and town hall events as she sharpened her approach. She incrementally increased her rates along the way, eventually reaching $50,000 per engagement. One of the first companies that hired me for listening sessions was Raymond James, she says. That was their first ever town hall event on a race. It was myself and Dr. Johannetta Cole who were the speakers, and there were over 3,000 people in that town hall. After the event, Raymond James asked Charles Collins to speak and train their leaders. Other companies who engaged her for speaking and training commitments included eBay, Cherry Hill Public School District, the Tampa International Airport, and various law firms. In 6 months, she was able to match and then exceed her salary as a lawyer. I was very fortunate for that, for 2020 and 2021. I got a lot of business through word of mouth, she notes. Number 3, more income, more quality of life. Charles Collins wanted to help other women build their financial independence and cultivate a sense of belonging. She founded a community called Ladies Who Leverage, which has grown into a new stream of revenue for the company. I never wanted to be a coach, she says, but I enjoy managing and strategizing. My goal was to create a safe space where women can work together without competing. She now gets to share the lessons she's learned over the years with her community. Charles Collins wakes up every day with a desire to use her voice to help others, and she already has a 6-figure online business. She is now a sought-after speaker and a women's empowerment strategist. She said she could have gone back to practicing law, but she wanted to take on the challenge of speaking in front of crowds, which she thinks is her purpose. Learning these 3 things is not enough for one to be successful. Knowledge, determination, and action are also important ingredients to make your dreams come into reality. Speaking of, for us to gain more knowledge, let's hear more of Kelly's tips on how she became successful in the path she has now traversed, and that is public speaking. Surround yourself with people in the business, but do not try to become them. Learn from them, but remain true to yourself. So many new speakers see who people have deemed gurus in their industry, and then they try to emulate their speech pattern, dress, movements, etc. Don't do that. If they wanted to hire that person, they would. Be you, Kelly said in an interview. Aside from being a TEDx speaker, founder of the Ladies Who Leverage Global Network and Mentoring Accelerator, podcast host, Kelly is also an author and a magazine publisher. She and her award-winning TEDx talk, The Bystander Effect, Why Some People Act and Others Don't, have been featured on ABC and CBS and podcasts, and she's been quoted in several publications, including Forbes, Fast Company, Women's Wear Daily, and Thrive Global. But how did Kelly get where she is right now? Let's find out as Kelly shared her life story in an interview. I was born in St. Andrew, Jamaica, and moved with my family to New York, where I lived until I was 3 years old. They then settled back in Jamaica when I thrived in school. It's interesting to note that when I was 9 years old, I went to school with Bob Marley's children, and Ziggy Marley was a classmate of mine. At 16, after college at Providence in Rhode Island, we relocated to Miami permanently, where we live today. My older sister is not only my person but also my confidante and coach. I'm also grateful for the fact that even in old age, my parents are still together and healthy, she said. In 1995, I began practicing law. After several years, I realized that being a lawyer was not I wanted to do for the rest of my life. So, while practicing, I did other things like taught college and law school and ran my own business. In 2016, while practicing law in Miami, I was recruited by a law firm in Tampa. It was a great opportunity to expand my horizons, and I'm always up for a change. About 1 year in, however, I began to get an itch. That itch to move on. They say people have a 7-year itch, but I seem to consistently have about a 3-year itch, she continued. One day, I was sitting in a deposition, and all I could think about was, what am I doing here? I'm destined for more. I have so much to offer to the world that I couldn't with the confines of the legal profession. I wanted to create a bigger impact, and I knew I could no longer do that practicing law. So, at the end of 2017, I created my 2018 to-do list. On that list, among other things, was to become a professional speaker, write a book, and do a TEDx. All three were to be accomplished in 2018. I had no real idea of how this was going to happen, but the one thing I know is that when my vision is clear, I'm unstoppable. After researching how to become certified as a professional speaker, I joined a local chapter of the National Speakers Association and enrolled in their Speakers Academy. I then decided to write a book about something I had been speaking about for years: workplace investigations. That became my first book. Then one day on Facebook, a woman popped up on my feed and talked about coaching people to be TEDx speakers, and I connected with her. Eventually, I hired her and I got accepted to 2 TEDx stages, but I only ended up doing 1. Within 11 months, practicing law full-time while also becoming a professional speaker accomplished all these things in an active way, she stated. Kelly also said, while in the Speakers Academy, I started to develop my profile as a professional speaker. I had obviously been speaking as an attorney for many years, but now I wanted speaking, not lawyering, to be my profession. I got to the building. Then October 22, 2019 rolled around. This is a whole story in and of itself, but the short version is, that morning something moved my spirit and caused me to utter the words, "My freedom papers." Later that day, I was asked by my partners to come to their office and told that by the end of the year, I would no longer be employed because they could not afford to pay me. I mean, I always knew I was priceless, but this was not a surprise. They just didn't realize I knew what they had in store and was ready for it. As much as I had been planning my exit, so were they. They just did it first. And therefore, on January 1, 2020, my professional speaking journey began, Kelly shared.
Here's what everybody wants: to love and be loved, right? We want equality, freedom, respect. We want peace, dignity. When you go to work, when you wake up every day, you want people to respect you. You want people to respect who you are, respect your ideas, respect your thoughts, respect your space. That's what everybody wants. And so in order for that to happen, then we have to be more open. We have to be willing to have conversations. We have to be willing to get uncomfortable, right? We have to be willing to look at what our biases are and say, or, man, I thought that about that person, but maybe not. So what's next? Let's just judge less and accept more. We watch kids, right? You see kids play out in the playground, they don't care who they're playing with. Unless somebody teaches them differently, they could care less. They're out there playing, slinging in the dirt. Well, they don't really do that anymore, do they? Right? A lot of them are just like us, like on our phones. But when you do see kids out playing, they're just happy-go-lucky. They haven't had that frame of reference yet. Those things happen as they grow and they are exposed to different things and people are telling them different things. And kids model what we do and kids model what we say. And so if we want them, as they grow, to judge less and accept more, then we have to do that.
Inspiring and engaging story indeed. Enjoyed her life story? If yes, then we can assure that you'll enjoy her next topic. So, without further ado, let's move on to Kelly Charles Collins' tips on how to become a highly effective public speaker. Number 1, it's important to know what you're going to speak about, who you are going to speak to, what are you going to change, and who will pay you for what you're speaking about, and how much value you will provide. When I narrowed my niche from 9 topics down to 3 and honed in on who my ideal client was, my value increased. I became known for being an unconscious bias expert by everyone. This had enabled colleagues and family members as well as friends and strangers to speak my names in rooms I am not present in. One of those resulted in me having my first 6-figure month this year. Number 2, earning your value means you should never be afraid to say what your rate is. You can't expect to overcharge and rationalize away that it's the economy's fault, otherwise you are sinking in the value of your work. I remember getting called during the economic downturn and being offered a virtual training session for half my usual rate. Although it was good business, I didn't want to offer such discounted rates. My core belief is that my services provide equal value, whether live or online. When asked about my price, I was slightly nervous, but didn't let fear stop me from speaking up. Having a potential client on board as well means that she will go out of her way anytime she needs my help, which meant I earned more than what was initially discussed. Number 3, be authentically you. That means in everything. The way you dress, speak, wear your hair, whatever. Don't try to be anyone else. As a lawyer, I was used to wearing suits, and when I first started speaking, I kept that up. But that's not who I want to be as a speaker. I wanted to be my down-to-earth, approachable self. So I show up as me. Some days that is a suit, other days it's denim. I might have on heels, or it might be a fashion sneaker type of day. Whatever it is authentically me. Number 4, expertise is essential for speaking, regardless of what you're speaking about. You must have a good knowledge of your topic, be able to tackle the most obscure questions, and know where to direct people for more information. However, being experienced isn't just about repeating what can be found on Google or deciding you met the qualification to speak on X topic. To be considered an expert, you must have a deep understanding of the subject matter. Number 5. In order to have your brand in alignment with who you are, one must establish their voice and where they present themselves. It's important to broadcast a certain image on social media, website, marketing materials, etc. that matches the presentation of a client. That is why it took me 2 years to build my speaker brand before people began believing I was now doing it full-time as a professional speaker. This happened because I successfully created a consistent identity for myself, both in the public eye and on stage. For my speaking business, a silence is not an option movement, one where people speak up and speak out even if they don't think what they are witnessing impacts them. Inaction is indifference, and in our silence lies complicity. Much of what happens because good people are silent. Our silence empowers and emboldens perpetrators of bad behavior, and we know that we ignore festers. This is why I've been brainstorming how to take my show on the road, literally. I believe that conversations truly change things, and that has been evidenced by the listening sessions I've facilitated. I have the idea, just need the sponsors. Know any? LOL, she joked. That's it for this video, Manna member. Remember to subscribe to our channel, and if you feel like we've delivered value, please share this video with one person. That's right, just one person, as a token of your appreciation for the hard work we put into making content that educates and helps you on your mission of building your own fortune. Remember, you can watch video after video, but it isn't until you actually take action that you'll start to see results. See you soon!